You are now tuned in to the Dads Who Lift podcast. Please give us a like, share, subscribe to the YouTube account. We are on www.dadswholiftofficial.com. All the podcast links are in there. We also have an apparel line. We're on IG as Dads Who Lift Official handle. We're on Facebook, Dads Who Lift Podcast. We also have a Dads Who Lift fitness group on Facebook that's Dads Who Lift Official, a group of 30,000 like-minded dads that are just trying to be their best selves and staying fit. If that's something you're into, please check it out. But we do this stuff for free, guys, so please give us a like, share, 5-star review. We really appreciate your support. We're now tuned into the Dads Who Lift podcast. You have your host, Tyler Gaeta, Joel Staley, and we have on special guest with us again, Caleb Moran. Caleb, say what's up.
What's going on, guys? Good to see you guys again.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Good to have you. Should we open up and talk a little bit about the shit show debate?
Yeah, sure. Did you watch the debates last night, Caleb, at all?
Off and on, man. I was knocking out some work. I did see some very comical things, as they always happen. But I did watch enough. I got enough to talk about, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't want to dive too hard into it, but I just think that it's... May I say that we're fucked both ways?
Biden was a lot more coherent than I was expecting.
I wonder how much drugs they have him pumped full of.
Yeah, I don't know. I did hear, so of course, Trump was trying to get him to both do a drug test, which he said he'd do it. Biden declined. Search their ears for earpieces. Trump said he'd do it. Biden declined. And then one other thing, I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I mean, I was expecting a lot more fumbles and like he held his own, I guess.
He was actually coherent.
Yeah.
You know, Biden actually did a decent job, but I mean, to me, it was like Trump versus the moderator and Biden.
Yeah.
I mean, it was honestly, it was a shit show. Yeah. I mean, they were all just fucking completely arguing together. No one could finish a sentence. No one could even get a question out. I mean, it was a shit show.
He's going to have to reel it in for sure. Come the next couple.
I think Trump and Clinton had more respect during their debates than Trump and Biden, which is pretty crazy to say.
Well, I think because probably Trump was the new guy back then. He didn't have a lot of like, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. So now it's like he's got a lot more ammo to throw at you. But yeah, he went in too hard. He needs to give Biden some rope to hang himself, I think.
I will say that
Agreed.
You cannot blame the coronavirus and this economy on Trump, though.
No.
Like
no way, man.
Yeah.
No way.
And that's pretty much what Biden was trying to do. I mean, pre-coronavirus, our economy, at least fiscally, was the strongest it's ever been. I mean, unemployment was the lowest it's ever been. The economy was the strongest it's ever been. And I mean, unless something comes out that says that we created the China virus, which I don't think we did, there's nothing we could do about it. Like, Trump was the first one to say, let's close the borders between China, and he actually got shit from Biden and Nancy Pelosi back in January for it.
Yeah.
So.
Now, one of the things I thought was amazing was the moderator just seemed to be on one side.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
So to me, it's not a fair debate. Maybe we should have two moderators, and then it turned into more of a roasting than it did a debate. It should have been a Comedy Central event rather than a national news event.
Right.
Well, if you watched the Trump town hall, man, it was terrible. That was, I mean, I can't think of the guy's name right now. Do you remember it?
No, but they were saying that was pretty scripted.
He's like, no, the guy that moderated that one, he's given like thousands of dollars to the Clinton campaigns. He was like crying backstage with Hillary when she lost last year. And now he's the moderator for the Trump rally. So all the questions were like loaded AF. And then the Biden was kind of spoon fed to him. But I thought the moderator last night, I watched it on Fox. So
me too.
I felt like they were fairer than I was expecting it to be. But yeah, it was fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. There's going to be two more?
Yeah. I'm excited to watch the Kamala Harris and Pence one.
Yeah.
That'll be coming up.
That'll be pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pence won't fly off the handle as much as Trump does. That's for sure.
For sure.
So, what I wanted to talk about for this topic is just to kind of set a setting, I guess. This last weekend, so I finished my 75 hard. I'm actually back on 75 hard now because I fell off. Well, I didn't fall off. I finished it. But I finished my 75 hard, kind of went ham for a week, gained like 4 pounds, ate a bunch of shitty food, drank a bunch of beer, had some hangovers, and I was like, fuck this sucks. So I got back on, I'm doing phase 1 now, 75 hard, which is only 30 days long. But last Friday, I'm sitting around my fire pit, having some beers after a long day of work, and had a buddy come over. And we're sitting at the fire pit, and it's just me, my buddy, and my son, and we're just talking about stuff. And talking about this buddy of mine used to work for me years ago, and I've known him for years. So he worked for me for a few years, and like I said, I've known him a long time, and we're just kind of bullshitting about just everything that's happened and what we've been through and where we're at and where we're heading and plans for the future and things of that nature. And so I was going through all the struggles that I've had the past years, because there's been a lot of fucking struggles, and he made the comment, and he said, you're the type of guy that can fall in a pile of shit and still get up smelling like roses.
I like that.
Yeah. So you're the type of guy that can fall in a pile of shit and no matter what, will get up smelling like roses. And I kind of laughed about it that night. And actually my first question to him was like, cause I had never really thought about it or had it put to me that way. And my first question to him was like, why is that? And he said, I don't know. And so I sat there and I thought about it. And Caleb is my coach. I've talked about that before. Right now, Caleb Moran's coaching me. And so we kind of talked about it and bullshitted about it. And so it was kind of, I pondered on it for a while. Like, why is that I can go through all these things and still come out on top, and other people will go through similar things or less things, and it can take them out for a whole year, set them back a whole year, or, ruin their whole week or whatever it may be. Or they see these obstacles as things that they can't overcome. And I think we're all like that. And I think a lot of people that listen to this podcast are probably like that too. But the way that I see it is like every single struggle is an opportunity for growth. Every single struggle is an opportunity to move forward. So instead of looking at something as, a great book to read on this topic, if you want to get better, would be The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. Amazing book over this. But basically, the only way that we change course, get stronger, shape ourselves in the shape that we want to be and move forward is through obstacles. But you have to use those obstacles and not let them conquer you. You have to use those obstacles and let them change you, mold you to be a better person and to move forward so that you're always moving forward. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. And Caleb and I discussed it, and he had a lot of good things to say too. So I thought I'd invite him on the podcast and just kind of take this and see where it goes.
I think one of the greatest things that we can do, exactly what you said right there, is obstacles are opportunities. Even when I deal with my kids, having 5 kids, there's lots of obstacles, and I can isolate a child. I can discipline the child. I can tell them all the crap they did, all the wrong they did, or I can look at it and say, hey, look, what can we learn from this? Right. When I coach clients, when I deal with businesses, when I talk to whoever I'm talking to, you can take someone in your office and you can sit them down and you can say, look, you do this again, you're fired, or this is the last straw, you are fired. Or you can sit them down and say, look, let's use this as a coaching moment. What can we gain from this? How can we grow from this? And going forward, should this present itself again, what are we going to do? Right. And I think a lot of times when life hits us, because life sometimes doesn't hit people fair. When life hits you, sometimes you feel like you're getting buried. And something we talked about the other day is, it's just all perspective. To one person, they're getting buried. To the other person, they're getting planted. Because you can come out of that if you allow that season to not be a cycle that you keep getting into and getting into and getting into. Then what ends up happening, man, is through those tests and those trials, through that adversity, you're actually better when you come out. See, some people come out bitter, or you can come out better. I choose that I'm going to come out better from this. If it's a failed relationship, if it's a failed business venture, if it's a failed friendship, whatever the case, I don't want to come out of this worse. I mean, everybody who lifts weights knows that your strength and your gain comes from resistance, right? So without true resistance, you're really not going to have the growth that you want. It's not always comfortable, right? You're going to have the growing pains, the sores, and all those things. And you know, when we first started talking about this, I was talking about that story that you had remembered. And I don't know if anyone has ever heard this story, but there was a story of a farmer who had like an old well on his property, and his horse had fallen into the old well. And so the farmer thought, well, you know, it's so far down there, I don't know how I'm going to get the horse out. And so I'm just going to bury it. And so he just started shoveling dirt. And of course, you know, here's this horse at the bottom of a well, doesn't know what's going on. But now all of a sudden, you know, this I was on solid ground at one point, and now I find myself in this deep, dark hole. I don't know how to get out. You know, that's the horse's perspective. And so the farmer's just throwing dirt on this horse. And every time that dirt would hit that horse, he would just shake, and the dirt would fall to the ground. And so here's the farmer just throwing dirt, hours later, next day coming back, throwing dirt, until finally the horse surfaced and just walked out of the well. And the moral of that story is, even though you may have fallen, even though you may not know how to get out, and even though life is throwing dirt at you, you know, and you don't know what's going on, if you'll learn to shake it off, it'll literally become a foundation that you can step on and keep rising higher and higher and higher. And if we can view things with the right perspective and not have a victim mindset, I think that's the problem with our freaking society today, is everyone's such a victim. Like everybody, they feel like the whole world's against them. And even if something is against you, man, opposition and competition is what makes most people come alive. And so I think for us to have that, and your friend saying that to you is totally a compliment. To know that even though people are throwing crap at you, and you're going through this life, and you have these opportunities to either get offended or to grow from it, you're choosing to grow from it. And that's extremely commendable, man.
Have either of you ever read or listened to Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon?
Yeah. I have the book literally right next to me right now.
Man, I'm surprised you haven't yet. No. That's right up your alley. Yeah. It's a lot about, I'm re-listening to it right now, and just the first few chapters, they're very big on, if you can set your goal and you have a relentless determination. They go through so many examples of people struck their riches or found their success right after their biggest challenge. So right where most people would quit and throw, like you could work for 10 years and then there's this huge challenge, and the majority of people will be like, all right, it's been 10 years. I don't know how I'm going to get through this obstacle. Like, time to go the other way. But right on the other side of that obstacle is success. And there's stories of people who quit digging 3 feet short of like huge gold mines. There's like Henry Ford, all these people that like they should have been failures, but just because they're like, no, I'm going to either get this or I'm going to die trying. I mean, we talk about a lot. The universe is finally like, all right, dude, I'm going to stop battling. You just take it. Right. But you got to kind of prove that you really do want it bad enough to go through those obstacles. For sure.
Yeah. So I want to say too, so one of my early mentors, like one of my first mentors I had years and years and years ago, used to always tell me that I own 50% of whatever happened to me, no matter what. Even if somebody completely does me wrong, I still own 50% of whatever happened because I put myself in that situation. A lot of times we own more than that, but at least 50% of everything that happens. So I think a lot of this comes down to kind of a self-check-in, if you will, like being able to look at yourself from an outside perspective and assess the situation and see where you went wrong, see where you can learn and grow from things, because you're completely right, Caleb. It is 100% the victim mindset is the downfall to this whole scenario. Because if you sit there and say, oh, woe is me, shit luck, I don't fucking believe in luck. Like I do not believe in luck. I'm booking a vacation this winter. I lined up way too much snow. And so this winter for me, I don't know, snow removal company is one of my companies. It's going to be a crazy winter. I'm going to be working like the first year I was back in business. I'm going to have to be on site, every snow for days straight. It's going to suck. And so I'm mentally preparing myself for that. And I know that this winter, I'm not going to have a lot of time to vacation. So before this winter, I'm going to take a couple week-long trips with my son, make sure to get it out of our system. So I'm planning a trip in the next couple weeks. And I'm telling my office manager about it. And she just keeps saying, "Oh, you're lucky. You're so lucky." And I was like, I even said to her, I said, "I don't believe in luck. Like, luck is not a thing. You make your life and your reality what you want it to be." Now, that's not to, people are dealt different cards, and that's not to say that you're going to be dealt fair cards, but you still have it in your power to change your life, and it's through your perspective, but to change your life to what you want it to be. I mean, look at David Goggins. We all listen to David Goggins. David Goggins is a great motivator to, thousands, if not millions of people in this world. If you've read his book, that dude had one of the worst fucking childhoods I've ever heard of in my entire life. And he turned that around to be a motivator, a successful, not only successful entrepreneur, but a great guy and fitness mogul, and turn that into the drive that fuels him to now motivate other people and drive other people to have better, successful lives. So the world, shit's going to throw at you all the time. Like we're going to name this episode Pile of Shit, right? Because you're always going to have shit thrown at you, but it's what you do with it that's going to define who you are as a man, as a human, and what you turn your life into and who you choose to be.
I feel like if you even look at it like a test, it almost would make it easier to take face onto. So instead of like, "Oh, this wasn't meant to be," or "I'm never going to be able to do this," if you can, like, when those challenges do present themselves, if you can say, "Oh, all right, well, this is just a test and I'm going to kick the shit out of this test," then it'll just be easier to mentally prepare yourself to take it on.
No doubt. Look, I've been watching this show on Netflix. It's called Chef Table. Yeah, have y'all seen that at all?
Chef Table?
Oh, dude, Chef Table. Yeah, they have different series. Really, really cool. But there's this one episode, and it's totally fitting for the topic today. There was this like master chef in Italy or something, and there was this earthquake. And I don't know if you've ever seen those big, huge Parmesan cheese wheels. They're like massive, huge. That's like, I think one wheel is like over $1,000. It takes, I don't know, months or years to create, but it's very expensive. They had a massive warehouse full of all these cheese wheels, and everyone in the world, every fancy restaurant, nice restaurant, any restaurant that's made a name for itself orders their Parmesan cheese from this particular place. Well, earthquake hit it, and all the shelves fell, all the cheese wheels hit the ground. I know it sounds funny because you're like, "Oh my God, cheese isn't that big of a deal." But imagine if you had, a couple 100,000 products on your shelves that were all worth $1,000 or $1,500 each, and they all just shattered on the floor. You'd probably be like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to go bankrupt. I'm going to lose everything. It's all my money." But the problem was, it wasn't just his issue. Every restaurant connected. I think there was like 50,000 restaurants that ordered weekly from this guy. He said he got the phone call and they said, "I don't know what we're going to do. We can't fulfill the order." And literally he was facing this deal where it's not just that they can't have the product. They were going to shut down. The chefs were going to lose their jobs. The wait staff was going to lose their jobs. The restaurants were going to have to close. It was a massive ordeal. And so everyone calls this one chef and says, "What are we going to do?" And he sits there, and he's famous because he knows how to take something that's just catastrophic and make it a work of art. And he started thinking, he said, "You know what? I got it." And he came up with a recipe right then that he added, I don't know, some type of rice or something. And he created this cheese rice, and they wrote the recipe down. They faxed it to all the restaurants, and all of the restaurants implemented it into their menu that night. They sold every one of those broken cheese wheels within the month, and nobody even skipped a beat. Nobody lost a job. No cheese wheel was thrown away. And I know, we're talking about cheese, but how many things in our life have fallen, have cracked, have broken this job didn't go that way, that relationship didn't go that way. We can look at it and go, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to just close everything. But if you can sit and take a moment to just have some forward thinking, you can make something out of it, right? You can find beauty from ashes. You can take crap. We were talking about this the other day, Tyler, that, sometimes what people look at as crap, as something that's horrible and smells and it's not nice, to another person is fertilizer.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to bring something of beauty out of it. And it's just so cool to see stories of people who have taken adversity and have made it their story, like their trophy, not the nail in the coffin. They've actually made it their testimony. It's like this thing that defines them now. And that's what I choose to look at adversity and trials as. I don't want it to be the thing that becomes the excuse of why I failed, right? I failed because she did that to me, or because this person did that to me. No, I learned from that. And because of that experience, I grew, and it's made me the man that I am today. And I think that's the outlook anyone who's watching and listening right now needs to take. Whatever you're going through, man, you're watching this podcast right now and you're thinking, hey, this is resonating with my life. I'm going through hell right now. Don't just stop there, right? Keep going, get through it. And when you get out, find the lessons from it. And then, man, go find somebody who's going through the same crap as you and help teach them how to get out of it. Be proactive in paying it forward at least.
Yeah, you mentioned a story, and that's a good point. It's because if you look at your life as a story, no one wants to hear about someone who just everything always came easy to him. He made it, no challenge, no adversity whatsoever. Like, who's going to read that book? You need to have, if you're going to be on your rocking chair someday telling your grandkids your story, you're going to have some ups and downs so they don't just tune out and like, all right, Grandpa's talking about his success again. Like that, we wouldn't be talking about those cheese wheels right now had that catastrophe not had happened. It's like what gives life a little bit of flavor.
Sure, absolutely.
So when you can take this adversity and use it to shape you and grow and move forward, it's almost like, so I'm better through adversity. Like I'm better in tough situation. That's usually where I thrive. And it's not always easy. A lot of times it sucks. A lot of times you sit there and you're like, man, what's going on? Where am I heading? But through adversity and in pressure is when I perform at my best, because I will not fail. I will not let myself fail. And it's also we talked about mindset, but I feel like it's a choice in your head that just like people have certain tolerances for certain things. And so some people are more tolerant of other things. And for me, I choose not to be tolerant of things that are not going to grow me or propel me forward. And so when I look at something, it's not even a question in my mind if I'm going to stop and get walked all over, just like that horse in the well, right? Every time a shovel of dirt came on the horse, he shook it off and he took a step up, right? And he used it as a platform to get out of the hole. I refuse to let that dirt bury my feet. You know what I mean? No matter what it takes, I'm always thinking of how I can move forward, how I can grow, how I can keep moving. Even in the worst situations. I've lost properties, and just talking business wise, I've lost properties that were $500,000 a year properties. How do you come from one property that you lose that's going to be $500,000 a year to your business, and overcome that? And my answer to that was obviously trying to get more properties, but also diversify. I use that lesson as like, all right, do I keep sinking all my eggs in one basket and go for another big property to replace it? Or do I put my eggs in a bunch of little different baskets so this doesn't happen again? And if I lose a property, I'm not screwed because I have more over here. Or I have more other things going for me in my life. So I really feel like I don't know if any of that made sense, but I really feel like it truly comes down to how you look at everything, and what you accept in your life and accept for your life. I don't accept defeat, man. I don't believe in defeat. I don't believe in failure. I fuck up all the time, but I don't believe in failure because I always take that and I move forward and grow from it. And I'm always man, there's something to be said for the glass is half full too, because it's easy to get stuck in a situation when you can't see a way out. You know, it's super easy if something bad happens to you, happens in your life. Even one of my best friends, his mother just passed away a couple days ago, and it's horrible. It was crazy, unexpected. She was not very old. Just a bad thing, and it sucks. Sometimes life throws shit at you. But it's what you do in that and how you take that. You can wallow in pity, and obviously there's certain stages to remorse. I mean, obviously you do have to wallow in pity for a little bit. But a good remembrance of somebody that you've lost is to think of the good things and to use that as the way you see life. I mean, the way I took it was, I'm going to remember her for all the blessings that she was and all the blessings that she was to everybody that she knew. And then I'm also going to take that lesson and say, man, life really is fucking short. I need to spend every second and cherish it like it's the last. I need to make sure I'm spending that time with my son. I need to make sure that I'm putting my priorities first. I need to make sure that when I'm at the end of my time, wherever that may be, that I can look back, even if it's for a brief second, and be happy about the way that I live my life and the way that I spent my time.
Big time.
So true. Well, and I think too many people, you've kind of been trained to look at failure as an identity. Like, I failed. And sometimes we shame people and we say that crap to people. And sometimes maybe, your parents may have said that to you, and it's caused you to view failure as something that's associated with your personality, who you are. It's like, we say things like, if something's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong, or, I always seem to make wrong decisions. It's just my luck, going back to the luck crap. But I think failure it needs to be looked at as an event, right? Don't take a lot of ownership to it. You can own up for the parts that you play. But, if I failed at a marriage, or if I failed in a business venture, or if I failed, with the way I handled my child, I can't view that as who I am. If I'll view it as an event, then I can look at that and say, now, how can I do better the next time that this situation comes around, right? One of the jobs I used to have, in leading organizations and doing stuff, was helping them plan massive events where they would have donors come and raise money and capital funds and gains and all that. And sometimes the events would just flop. But I didn't look at that like I'm a flop. Oh my God, I suck. And I didn't look at it like we're never going to do these again. We would sit and we'd talk and we'd say, okay, before we talk about the flop side, what did we do right? Let's start there. Let's talk about all the good things, right? Man, 500 people showed up. We raised $2.5 million or whatever the things that we're going to look at are positive. Now, next year, what do we want to see differently? And sometimes it's just the way you phrase it, right? What do we want to see differently that we saw this year? Maybe we don't want to carry over into the next event, right? And if you can view failure as something that is an educator, it's one of the best educators and teachers that you'll ever have. You got to start viewing failure almost as like a blessing. Like, okay, not that you're looking to fail, but when failure happens, or when, things don't go the way you want, look at it and say, okay, this is the best opportunity for me to grow now. And really view it with the eyes of hope, and the eyes of I have faith in myself to get back out there and do this again. I really have confidence in who I am. And don't let the words of naysayers, or haters, whatever you want to call them, don't let those words begin to shape who you feel you are. Because ultimately, champions believe that they're champions. They don't accidentally go, oh crap, I won. They woke up knowing they were going to win, right? And even when they were seemingly going down, they knew, nope, I'm pulling the last bit of courage, the last bit of strength together, and I'm gonna get the victory out of this, because that's what I came here to do. And we've only got one life. Don't sit down and take it for the rest of your life and just have this pity party of your life sucks and you'll never be this way. get up and change the thing that you want and become the person that you have aspired or dreamed to be. It's possible, man. No doubt it's possible.
This is kind of a darker story, I guess.
Hang on. Can I piggyback off that
please,
real quick
please.
and then go back? So I just want to piggyback back off what you said, because we talked about this, and this is something that's in my coaching and just in something that I'm going through right now that I can relate to. That was a big eye opener for me, is that those little voices inside, everybody has voices on how they talk to themselves, right? Yeah. And those little voices inside about how you talk to yourself are based on the beliefs of yourself. And when you have bad beliefs or negative beliefs of yourself and you talk to yourself negatively, that will portray onto other people that surround yourself with and other opportunities in your life. So I've always considered myself a pretty confident guy, but I've realized that everybody, even me, has negative voices inside that'll pop up from time to time, and negative thoughts about themselves. I would assume that they're probably more based off your childhood, like things that maybe happened when you were a kid, or, the way that you were parented, or just beliefs that you grew up to believe about yourself in general that are most of the time not fucking true. I'd say probably all the time not true as far as the negative beliefs go. So I've started doing, and we've talked about doing this before, but I've actually started implementing it on a daily basis. Is every morning I've started doing daily affirmations about myself, where I'll actually write down positive things about me. I'll kind of keep track of these thoughts that pop up about myself, and I'll contradict those thoughts to be positive and write them down in my daily affirmations, because the way that I see me is going to portray on the way that I see you. And that's going to portray on what happens to my life and and the type of people that surround me and everything moving forward. Like, if I feel like nothing that I do is right, which is a belief of mine that I'm trying to correct, then my son's going to think that nothing that he did is right, that nothing that he does is right, just through the way that I talk to myself. And then that's going to portray in the way that I talk to him. So it goes all the way through, and I've never really connected the dots like that. I've always kind of thought, those are my beliefs. That's not going to affect anybody else. It's inside me. Nobody else can hear it, but it does, because it affects you through and through, inside you. And then that affects the way that you act, and that affects the way that you act to other people, which portray those thoughts onto those other people.
This kind of has to do with that too, about that self-dialogue. So we're trying to, like I always talk about, we don't want to just be sitting on the couch watching Netflix with Kennedy. We want to be active and stuff. So last week, Amy went and got this big 75-foot big roll of paper, and you can just roll it out on the floor and draw on it, put stickers on it or whatever. So I was drawing, and I drew Kennedy, Mom, and Dad. And it took a little bit. I mean, it looked stupid. It was basically just to get something on there and take up some space. And then I'm like, all right, fine, I'm done. And then Amy's like, you forgot Champ. And I was like, so done with drawing. I was like, all right. And I just, again, this is kind of dark. I just drew a big tombstone and I put R.I.P. And I was like, this is 10 years from now. Just trying to get a laugh from Amy.
Yeah.
But, and then I was like, I'm just kidding. But I was looking at it. I was like, all right, now I have Kennedy, Mom, Dad, and this big black thing. But it was funny because I was like, all right, how can I fix this? And not even for a second was I like, all right, can I fix this, or am I gonna have to start? It was literally like, how can I fix this?
Yeah,
no doubt in my mind. And then I'm like, kind of staring at it for 30 seconds or so. I was like, oh, all right. And I turn it into a grill, so then it's me flipping steaks, and then Champ's on the other side of Kennedy.
Nice.
But I did. It was a stupid story, but it was in that moment I was kind of realizing, as I was looking at it, I was like, man, I have no idea what I'm going to turn this into, but I also have zero doubt in my mind that I'm going to figure it out, and it's going to look like a normal picture, which I think a lot of people would be like, oh, now there's this big,
I got to cross it off and start over.
Yeah. But it was just kind of a self-awareness thing for me, because I was like, man, this is I have no idea what I'm going to make this, but I do know I will figure it out. And I think when you apply that same thing to your business, your marriage, your relationships, whatever's going on, and just take the how can I approach instead of the just can I approach, I mean, everything just changes.
I think limitations.
That's the key was your mindset there, man. Was you said, how can I do this? And most people, if they would look back and see, they have a history of overcoming things. They have a history of getting through challenges. And man, even if you just look at your past and say, look, I've been through crap before and I made it out okay, I'll find a way to get out of this. And you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to at least know, I'm going to figure this out. It's going to happen at some point. I didn't mean to cut you off, Tyler. Go ahead, bro.
No, you're good. It goes right with that. I was just going to say, I think limitations is one of the biggest things that hold people back. We've talked about it before, but
self-limiting beliefs, you mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I honestly believe that the only reason that I am where I am and that I do overcome all these obstacles and turn them into positive aspects is because I believe that I can. And I don't limit myself as far as what I can do. I mean, we just had it last weekend. We're talking to a buddy of mine. We were at my son's birthday party, and Joel was there at Vallis Pumpkin Patch. And we're talking to a buddy of mine about business and what I'm, going to do and what I'm deciding to do and what I'm, moving into and stuff like that and plans for the future. And he didn't see things the same way. And he's like, why would you do that when you have this, this, and this? And it's like, listen, man, because I can go over here and I'm not leaving that, but I can also start this. And the sky's the limit. I can make $100 million company out of this.
He's like, why would you risk it if you got this guaranteed thing?
Yeah.
It's like, first of all, nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's safe. Right. It's a safer bet, maybe. But then also, like you said, you're putting yourself in a box and you'll never know.
Exactly. But the whole point is that it wasn't possible in his mind to have an online company that could create $100 million a year revenue, to where in my mind, it is completely possible to have a $100 million a year revenue company. Now, I was listening to this audio book. Actually, it was a podcast the other day where they were talking about the power of mentors and the power of coaches. And this guy was talking about how he had 5 companies that had hit $10 million a piece in revenue a year, but he could never get past $10 million. And it wasn't until he hired a coach that had 5 companies that were $100 million a piece companies that he finally has one company that's going to hit $100 million this year. Now, there's something to be said for following somebody that's already done it and has a plan as to how to do that. But I'm willing to bet that in his mind, it wasn't completely possible for him to get past $10 million until he hired somebody that mentored him that had been past that $10 million. Once you see, okay, this guy did $100 million, he's now my coach, in your mind, that becomes possible. Once it becomes possible in your mind, you can do anything. Like, it's fucking endless. So my beliefs aren't limited for where I am now, but I mean, do I think I could sit here and have $1 billion company or $5 billion company like Bezos? Probably not. My beliefs are probably limited in that area right now. You know what I mean? So I just think that limiting beliefs, it's basically putting a cap on yourself. If you believe that you can do it, you can. If you believe that you can get through an obstacle, you can. If you believe that you can take something and turn it into something better, you can. If you believe that no matter what, you're going to go through this on the top, you're going to get through something and come out on top of it or come out smelling like roses, you will. If you go through a situation and you sit there and think, oh, fuck, I'm fucked, there's no way I'm coming back from this, you're not going to.
Yeah.
Caleb, you can speak. Sorry, you can speak on this because you've been through my Shed Fat Fast program.
Sure.
How much is getting into that community and seeing what everyone else is doing?
100%.
Like if I told you, hey, Caleb,
you're gonna do 100-hour fast.
Yeah, 4-day fast. You'd be like, having never even skipped breakfast, you'd be like, go fuck yourself, dude. No way. But then you get into this group and you see like all these people from all walks of life doing these crazy things. And you're like, oh, wow. Like this mom of 6 can do it. Like this guy over here can do it. Why couldn't I do it?
100%. That's like, when you were a kid, your parents would always, try to teach you a life lesson when you do something stupid. And they go, well, if everyone was jumping off a bridge, would you do it? And the answer is probably so, because more than likely, if everyone's doing it and having a blast, you're like, hey, why not? And it's true.
And they're not dying.
Right. When you surround yourself with people who are self-motivated, who are prosperous, no one gets around poverty and goes, I want that. When you get around somebody who's making money, who's living the life, they've got joy, right? It's not just this fake fabricated deal. Like, they literally have purpose, they have peace, they've got joy in their life. You look at it and you go, I want that. And the reason you want it is because you realize at that moment it is actually available. And it's not even available, it's attainable. And when things become attainable, you do whatever you can to stretch the reach and say, how can I get this in my life? And it's like that quote that we've all heard it before, but Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or can't, you're right.
Exactly.
And the key to that is changing the way you think. The biggest problem you have is like, I heard someone say, your problem is not massive. It's about, 6 to 8 inches. It's in between your ears, depending on how big your head is. But your problem is really just in here. This is your biggest battlefield. If you can win the battlefield of the mind, there's so much you can do. Even when I was running a lot and just, trying to just find a hobby, one of the things I realized was I didn't have to train my body as much as I had to train my mind, because your body will go much further if your mind will pursue and keep going. Your body's resilient, man. And for us as humans, we've got this ability to make life what we want it to be. A dog just kind of gets in an environment and has to adapt. Birds get into environments and have to adapt. We get into an environment and we can create and build. I mean, my God, we look around us and there's buildings, there's skyscrapers, there's technology. That's because somebody said, I think there's more out there and I'm going to go for it. And so it's key. Whoever's watching right now, take inventory of your environment, take inventory of your surroundings. If you got nothing but crap around you, either you're going to come out pretty amazing from your own efforts and your own mindset, or you need to start finding some better friends, some better mentors, some coaches, some people to bring around you so you can actually become what you are around. And that'll help you for sure.
Love it, man. Joel, you got some ending thoughts? I think we pretty well covered.
No, that's perfect. Great episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll recap a bit. There's a phone.
My phone's vibrating, so it's throwing us all off.
What the fuck is that? Who is that? So I guess to end it off, you are the type of person that can fall in a pile of shit and always come out smelling like roses, right? So we've discussed this, but it all comes down to perspective, how you look at things, the way that you see your life, the way that you can take an obstacle and not see it as defeat, but see it as a tool to grow, learn, and move forward. Once you can see that obstacle as a tool to grow, learn, and move forward, you don't accept defeat. A lot of that comes with, like you said, Caleb, surrounding yourself with positive mindset and positive people around you in your life. You are the average of the 5 closest people you surround yourself with. So if you got, badass motherfuckers in your corner that are always taking things and growing, always taking things and moving forward, getting thrown this, getting thrown that, and always coming out on top, it's pretty easy for you to say, okay, how can I change this and move forward? How can I grow from this? I'm not going to accept this. I'm not going to accept defeat. I'm going to be the donkey that shakes the dirt off, takes a step up. I'm not going to let myself get buried. So how can I use this to grow, move forward, and be the baddest motherfucker that I can be?
Love it.
All right. Awesome, all right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to the Dads Who Live podcast. Please give us a like, share, 5-star review. Tell one person about it. We do this stuff for free, guys. It actually, I'm going to stop saying for free because it costs us a lot of fucking money. So we do this stuff for negative money. So please give us a like, share, 5-star review. Tell one person. That's the only way we can grow. We don't run ads. We need your support. We need you to pass this on. We need views to be able to continue to do it. So please do so. We are on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, all the stuff. All the formats of the podcast are on our website. We also have an apparel line on the website if you want to check that out. The website is www.dadswholiftofficial.com. We are on IG as handle Dads Who Lift Official. We are on Facebook as Dads Who Lift Podcast. We also have a Facebook group full of 30,000 like-minded dads. Just trying to be the baddest motherfuckers they can be, stay fit, be the best fathers they can be, and just the best people they can be all the way around. 30,000 dudes in that group and growing. So if you're a dad, something that appeases to you, feel free to check that out. Join that group. It is free. But yeah, thank you again, Caleb, for coming on, man. It's been a great podcast.
Where can they find you? Well, we got you.
And you can find me on social media at the 400 Company, and that's the 400, the 400 Company. And then, of course, my personal stuff is Caleb W. Moran. You can follow me there as well. CalebWMoran.
Give him a follow.
If anybody
for
wants
sure.
to grow, I'd love to help you grow.
Yeah, if you're looking for a good coach, man, like I said, Caleb's my coach right now. Great coach, great program, mindset, business, religion. I mean, kind of covers everything all the way around, business.
Yeah.
So just great coach. Check him out, guys. Yeah, thanks for tuning in.
No surrender, it's forever. You know, this right here forever. I ain't bigger dead than alive, bigger dead than alive. I ain't bigger dead than alive, dead than alive. Yeah, I ain't bigger dead than alive, bigger dead than alive.